He was one of the men of Outpost 31 in John Carpenter's classic, The Thing. Today on the Slices podcast with Jason Pelligra, we sit down with actor Joel Polis. Hey everybody, welcome to the Slices podcast. I'm your host, Jason Pelligra, and today on the show, we have one of the men from Outpost 31 in John Carpenter's classic, The Thing. We have Joel Polis, Fuchs. How's it going, Joel?
It's really interesting week, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Down here it is, let me tell you. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
hey, we can get into that if you want.
No, I don't want to alienate.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we'll save those juicy stories for why we're here. We're here to talk about The Thing. In full disclosure, this is my favorite horror film, so I'm pretty thrilled to have Joel on the show. And we're just gonna talk The Thing. So this was your first film, am I right?
It was my first film. Yeah.
Wow, that was quite the entrance into.
Yeah, I was thrilled to get cast. I went in for the first audition, and first of all, I got to tell you, when I was a kid growing up, Saturday afternoons around 5:30 on one of the three channels that were on, they had on television at that time. I hope that doesn't date me. In any case, it does.
Yeah, I guess
they would show James Arness and who else was in that? Kobe. And Margaret Sheridan, who stole the show, and a bunch of people. And there was The Thing. And I've got a twin brother, and we used to watch this. And every time they got to that part where you heard the howling of the dogs attacking the Thing, and he was throwing them around, we would go hide behind the sofa. It was so scary, So when it came up that I could go read for this, I was really excited.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but John had gone to USC Film School, and he was there. I was a freshman, he was a senior in the film school. And I didn't get into acting until the end of my freshman year at USC. And I did a short student film for somebody in my junior year. And when I met John at the audition, he had seen it.
Wow.
And he remembered one scene where I heard a gunshot, and I was running into a house to find, because I was afraid somebody had killed themselves. And I slipped going up the steps, but I kept moving and everything, and he kept that in the shot. And John remembered that scene for whatever reason.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. And so that kind of, we both went to the same school, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so did you read for Fuchs, or did you read for?
No, I read for Fuchs.
Yeah,
I read
so
for Fuchs. And the original scripts just said intelligent, unassuming, intense.
So
that was it.
All right, so that's good. So where do you remember when you found out you got the role?
Yes. I remember doing the callback and just wanting to flagellate myself with a switch because I thought I blew it.
Oh, really?
And I crossed Central Park and walked back to my apartment on 72nd Street in New York. And the phone rang, and they said, we want you to do the part. And I just was over the moon.
I can imagine.
It was great. It was really, really exciting for me.
So you're thinking back at the time when you get the part. I mean, obviously it's your first film, so you're pretty excited about that. But then you're thinking back to flashbacks of watching The Thing, and it's just, that must have been a moment for you, no?
You mean seeing the Carpenter movie?
Well, no. When you finally, when you got the role in your very first film, and then it's The Thing, which is the movie that you were watching.
Oh yeah,
when you're,
I was thrilled, man.
That's,
it's just great.
That's awesome.
And then the contract I was on contract for like 20 weeks, which was the most I'd ever had, except for in the theater up to that point. And I got to come back to Los Angeles, and then
where were you at the time?
We were at Universal I was
Oh,
living in
okay.
New York. We flew
Okay.
out to LA. We shot on the back lot of
Yeah.
Universal
Okay.
in the blazing July heat. And they had lowered the temperature in the sound studio to about 45 degrees or 40 degrees, so you would
Yeah.
see the condensation and everything. But I remember you had to put on those parkas to go into
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
set, and when you come outside, you'd be peeling them off because you're frying in the sun, you know.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So you touched on the fact that you were doing theater, and the funny thing I find about this film is that there were a lot of theater actors in it,
Yes. Actually, there
um,
were only three who weren't.
which is kind of strange. And the reason why I think this is because I find this film to be a very kind of, I know it gets crazy, but it's a very low key, intimate, subtle film for
Yeah.
most part. And to bring in theater actors, that's usually not necessarily their forte.
Well,
So I thought it was kind of interesting.
well, John was really smart to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
First of
and
all, I don't know if he knew how trained that cast was.
yeah,
We had Keith David and Tommy Waits from Juilliard. We had Mazur and Clennon and myself from Yale Drama School. You had Donald Moffat from the Royal Academy in and you had Dysart had been a Broadway actor. Charlie Hallahan was from ACT.
yeah.
Um, they were all theater actors, and yeah, it was.
Was it intentional? Do you know if it was intentional
No, I
or?
don't. I don't think he realized what he had. I mean,
Yeah.
Kurt has been acting since he was 9 years old. You know,
Mhm.
he told me that great story about kicking Elvis Presley in the ass in his first movie, and he had so much fun doing that. And
That's
he
awesome.
really kicked Elvis.
And
And
then played them.
he was one of those. Kurt's like a natural, and
Hmm. Hmm.
incredibly talented man.
Yeah.
Has had an amazing career and a good guy.
Yeah.
Um, Brimley was, a movie actor. I don't know if I think he did a play or two before
Yeah.
he got into the movies. But um, it, the play was written and the screenplay read like 12 Angry Men.
Hmm.
It was like in one room
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
an ensemble, and the paranoia in the room and the fear and
Yeah.
the anger and the violence,
Yeah.
was palpable. And so I think that comes out most definitively in that blood testing scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great ensemble piece, and not only with the unbelievable special effects, but that 10 minutes
Yeah.
is just one of the most, I mean, even the people who designed the special effects said it's 10 of the greatest minutes of special effects in the history of cinema.
Hmm.
And it really is if you check
It,
it out. And
I
with that
know, definitely.
hilarious button on it, you got to be fucking kidding. I mean, it's just an amazing scene. But and John also, he found out we were all theater actors. We actually rehearsed the movie.
Yeah, actually, I was going to get to that. I was going to,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
So it was the first time that he ever rehearsed a cast, and we spent 2 weeks. And so by the time we got to the set, I mean, got to film, everybody knew their lines. We
yeah.
knew everything. And
Amazing.
we had formed unusual bonds with each other, as you do when you're working in
Hmm.
an ensemble in the theater. And although at the time he was thinking, when he started shooting, oh, it's a waste of time, he now has said, and this is hearsay, I've heard this, that
Hmm.
it's his favorite film that he ever shot.
I have heard that.
And he thought the work in it, the ensemble work, was extraordinary. And I have to say that all comes out in the film.
Absolutely. No,
It's
I
subtle,
I have
but
heard him say that
hmm.
a couple of times, and it's kind of I agree with him. So Fuchs was a biologist.
Yes.
Did you know any? Were you up to date with your biology heading into the production?
Actually, as soon as I got the job, I went down to Baruch College in New York, and I took a college biology class. I mean, I'd had 10th grade biology, but I
Yeah.
went and took a college biology class.
Wow.
Which when I got to Universal and I told Brimley that, I said, well, yeah, I did this biology class. And he went, what for? And I said, well, Wilford, I wanted to get into the part, and he said, this movie's about rubber and steam.
Like,
rest his soul. He's a funny guy, man.
Yeah. So he cut right through it, eh?
Yeah.
That's
But he
awesome.
was wrong. I mean, it was, although
Yeah.
in retrospect, especially with the pandemic going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
if I had one thing to change about my performance, it would have been with the costume department. But
Okay.
it was 1980. And
What
that was
specifically?
it. Oh, I would have had us in masks and gloves
Oh, yeah.
and hazmat,
Yeah.
But,
We know more now.
and I didn't, I mean, I could kick myself in the butt that I didn't think of that, because it would just lent a little more and kept the guys away from it. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? To isolate it. We didn't know what this thing was.
Yeah.
But whatever. That was then and this is now. And everybody loves it anyway.
Yeah. So you get so correct me if I'm wrong, was one of the first things that happened, John Carpenter arranged a screening for all of you? Was that true?
I was in New York, so I didn't see it.
So you weren't okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
you mean a screening of the original film, or?
yes. Yeah, like he got.
I don't remember. If you
No.
heard that, it's quite possible.
All right. So you alluded to the 2 weeks rehearsal, which
Yes.
is not common.
Right.
However, how did you feel about that? Like I could see going a couple of ways for actors. 2 weeks is like,
well, I was used to
pain and torture,
rehearsing. I was used to rehearsing plays. I'd been doing plays professionally for about 5 years at that point, and
so for you,
I loved it.
Did it work?
Well, for me, yeah. There in that blood scene, there's a moment where I'm quiet, and then I explode when somebody says something to me, and I mean, hell starts to pop and break loose and calm down and all that kind of stuff. So, but I just love getting to know the guys, and the proof of that is that Tom Waits and Keith David and David Clennon and Peter Maloney, we're friends.
Yeah. So, I mean, because to me that seems like a dream job, just getting paid to rehearse with these guys. Take me through a day of rehearsals.
Rehearsals?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to know what you guys would like.
Well, we went scene to scene, and we'd do it, and he'd say, "How's that?" or do we?
Was John around? Was John around?
John was there.
He was there.
And he would figure out if he had needed to add or subtract dialogue or anything like that. What he cut, what worked, what didn't. And for instance, in the original shooting of my death, I had a completely different death than you see in the movie. They had one reveal where somebody opens the door and I'm up on the door for half frozen with a shovel in my chest.
Yeah.
And John, he took that aside and he went, "No, this is not a slasher movie. This creature is trying to survive. It's not good. No." So we cut that, and when we got up to,
but you shot it, right?
We shot it. I've got a great little Polaroid.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what a Polaroid is?
Of course I do.
Okay. So I got a great Polaroid of me waving with this shovel in my chest, and that kind of
I have seen it. That's why I was wondering, like, so you actually did shoot the scene.
Yeah. But it just, when we got to Alaska, John wrote 5 or 6 more scenes for me.
Yeah.
That took me outside, and it kind of bridged what wasn't working for him. That was the other thing. You really could do this as a play. I mean, if you had the pyrotechnics, I mean, it really does take place in one room.
You are right.
But when he got to Alaska and looked around, he went, "Holy shit, man! I got to bring this outside."
Yeah.
And so he rewrote about a third of the script once we got up there, which I thought was the genius and the beauty of it was that it was alive. It was alive.
Yeah.
We were, oh, it works from here. We need to get that. We've got this great helicopter. We got to get them in the snowcats. We got to get we got, so he opened it up.
Yeah.
And the austerity of the scenery, the size of the mountains and the snow and the glaciers just gave such an urgency to what was going on in that ice station, because there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
We had to take care of business in that location, because we were all dead if we didn't.
Yeah. Was there survival training? Did you guys do some training for blow torches and all that kind of stuff? No, you just
they said, can you not use a fire extinguisher? You push this thing. Okay, great. How about you want to shoot a flamethrower? Yeah. Go out to the glacier. I mean, that thing scared the hell out of me. That was amazing.
Really?
But it was an adolescent's wet dream. We had helicopters and guns and a monster from outer space, and
dream job.
Great.
Dream job.
It was my favorite shoot in my whole life at this point, because it was. I'm a backpacker, and I travel worldwide. It's part of my passion. So to go up there and spend 3 weeks, and I mean, it was great. Tremendous.
So you shot first on the soundstage.
Yeah.
Correct. And then so you got everything there, and then you travel out. But so let's talk about that. So the location. Okay, so one of the things that fans like myself, but many others adore about this film is, the fact that it takes place in Antarctica and the complete isolation. Obviously not shot in Antarctica, but it's one of those things that I can speak for a lot of people. They wish they were there to make this film. It looked like this was a film you wanted to work on. You worked on it, so we're happy to have you talk about it. But you sound just as excited as some of us who are like, we're trying to live vicariously through you.
Oh man, it's why I became an actor. It was so exciting. It was so playful. It was and there was such John established such a camaraderie among everybody. I mean, there were flare-ups here and there, but we all had such. Certainly. T.K. Carter hated it because he couldn't stand the cold.
Really, eh?
And Donald Mava was married and older, and it was a gig. He wanted to do it and get home, whatever.
Yeah.
But the younger folk, man, we really had a blast,
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. I'm happy to hear that, because if you love a film so much, and then you hear it was so miserable to I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that. So you were in, it was Stewart, BC and Hyder, Alaska, correct?
They were there. They share the border.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's why. So
yeah.
So where were you put up? Where were you sleeping?
We were sleeping in Stewart, and we go over to Hyder to drink.
Okay. So let's talk about that, because I'm always fascinated. You talk about being an actor, and this is what were hotel parties. Did you guys have some fun, or
Well, we were working. First of all, it took 45 minutes along a radio control road. At the time, Stewart was like the snowfall capital of North America, and there were mines, and there was mining up there, copper and silver. And so we got onto this school bus every morning that had chains, and we just made our way up to the set. That was 45 minutes and 45 minutes back. So there wasn't a lot of partying, and I'm not a drinker really, but there was a Hyder, Alaska bar, and people went in there, and there was a ritual called Hyderized, where they give you a shot of what was Everclear, this stuff, and they would fill up the little shot glass, and then they'd light it on fire, blow it out. You would drink it, and they'd say, "You okay? You can stay." Whatever. Kurt thought that I couldn't handle anything, because I'm an athlete and a pretty clean liver, and a pretty clean liver, and so he bought me one of these drinks. He said, "Let's see you do it, Polis." I went, "Oh, come on, man." So why'd you worry about me drinking that?
I'd heard about that.
Burn.
Yeah, I heard about that. And actually, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Did you get hyderized? Because
I was hyderized. Sure, we all were.
Did you get?
And it was a rough place, man. The miners were armed. They were all packing. They were all white.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd seen an African American in months and months and months. And there were a couple
trouble?
guys that really, there was almost trouble. There was a couple moments that were weird, but part of the charm.
They weren't sold on the movie star status of Kurt Russell and all that. They were just rough.
Actually, they were sold on Kurt Russell's movie star, but it was T.K. Carter and Keith David. They weren't very happy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it did get to that. It did get ugly. I remember I did hear Keith David say that, like, it stayed okay, but it kind of got.
Yeah, there was a night when some guy was taunting TK, and
oh, really?
And TK was just throwing it back in his face with the most witty comments that the guy realized he was being totally.
But he's holding a gun, so he.
Well, he started to pull out a gun, and we rushed TK out of there, and somebody
kidding.
grabbed him and stopped that shit.
You're kidding. So it did get pretty dicey.
No. Yeah, it was weird.
That's not good. But so for the most part, but you guys bonded as a cast, and
yeah. And one night, if you talk to Keith, you probably heard this too.
No, I haven't talked to him yet. I've heard, but I would like to talk to him.
He would, I forget what a flaming fuzzy mother it was called. It was a drink, and they lit that on fire too. And I just remember Keith. He's on the bar. He's leaning up against the bar, and they give him one last one, and he goes. Puts it down, and he fell over, passed out.
Oh, geez.
So, like, it took 5 or 6 of us to pick him up and put him in the back of a pickup truck. We drove back to the motel. Then we went up to John's door.
Mm-hmm.
We carried Keith up there, and we put him up against John's door, and we banged on John's door, and we all ran away.
Oh, my God.
John opened the door. Keith fell into his door.
Are you kidding? Oh,
I think
my God.
That's how it went. It's 40 years ago, so I'm,
Yeah.
I think that's how it went, But
That's
I mean,
awesome.
that was, John needed his sleep, but it was all in good fun. And he got that we were.
What was the call time the next day?
Oh, I don't know, and
you don't remember that? Yeah, that was.
I don't remember that at all.
Okay.
I was not drunk, not high. No, not
you were hyderized, but not
intoxicated.
That's okay. That's good. So you were one of the smart ones, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said, this film was shot on a glacier, and there's probably not a lot of movies that could say that, to be honest. And you said
actually, that summer they had shot The Iceman up there with Timmy Hutton and John Lone in a brilliant performance. As the Iceman, he was astonishing in that. And Tommy Waits, who played Windows, it was between him and John Lone for that part.
Oh, really?
John Lone got it, which I thought just physiognomically was a better choice.
Yeah.
Wow. Not that Tommy couldn't have acted the hell out of it, but
So you you had said that it was 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back on a good day, I guess. What was the was it a party bus? Was it like catch up on sleep on what was the bus ride? What were the bus rides like?
It was all of that. It was it was let's get to work. But you have to remember there were along the telephone lines that were going up to that area bald eagles. Oh, wow. By the dozens sitting on the, it was
That's
magnificent.
Awesome.
It was magnificent.
Yeah, you must be just looking around going.
You're just looking around at the.
This is my job.
No, it was all like, this is the world we live in. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. But there was an almost fatal crash, correct?
Yeah.
Ish? Was it embellished or was it okay? So
we were they flew us into Prince Rupert.
Okay.
And we stopped for dinner at 11 o'clock at night. And it was a lovely little inn, and they fed us really well. And we got back in the bus, and there was a road that went over the mountains to Stewart. And most of us fell asleep, and it was snowing. And it started snowing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us registered and everything. And then at one moment, we heard the bus driver yell, "Slide!" And you felt the bus starting to slide toward the mountainside.
Oh, Jesus.
And he got hold of it, and it started going back the other way. And there was like, we wouldn't have walked out of there. There was a drop.
Yeah.
That was, and so if this was a movie, you'd see everybody go, and then you'd see they take a picture from the front of the bus. You'd see the bus driver here, and you'd see the entire cast around him looking out the window at the snow falling down as we started creeping back on our way.
Wow.
It was scary. It was a scary moment, but I mean, it didn't get really scary, but it could have gone really wrong.
Yeah.
And then I had a moment thinking, there must be $1 million worth of talent on this bus. What the hell are they doing, putting us on a bus in the middle of the night and getting?
That's a good point. There you go. That's a good.
Yeah, right. Right?
Yeah.
What do you mean the Capitol Police are understaffed? What are you talking about? What could go wrong?
Yeah. So you get to set, and I mean, obviously it's I mean, you've explained that it was just like a kid in a candy store. It was cold, but you were
and the rec room where we shot it, that became where we hung out.
Yeah. Okay.
When they went off to shoot different places.
Okay. So and correct me if I'm wrong. Were you, if you were shooting or not, you were at set just in case? Was that the deal, or did you stay at the hotel when you weren't shooting?
I remember being up there pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Even the last day, especially the last day when they blew up the set.
Yeah.
They set up 7 cameras and you only got 1 shot, and that was spectacular.
Yeah.
So I remember being up there every day.
Yeah. So what does Joel do when he's not shooting? Like, what were you like? Were you able to just walk around, or were you just hanging out in the room?
No, yeah, I didn't realize at the time that this was going to be so what it became.
Yeah.
But that's one of the helicopter on the set.
That's awesome.
This is the another way of looking at the.
Just a little higher, if you could put a little. Just
let me show you some good. Let me show you some good stuff.
All right.
So I take these with me to every.
Oh wow! Yeah, I've never seen.
No, you haven't seen these.
No.
These are mine, and they are. I've got 24 snapshots.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I keep threatening to make a. Here's Clint. He's the dog trainer.
Oh man, awesome.
And I keep threatening to make a. Here's Jed. Jed was the name of the dog.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, this is amazing to see.
Here's a shot of Tommy and John shooting inside.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I took these, and you can see they're in this.
Good job.
We're all out on the glacier. That's the cast and crew.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I've got 24 of these things, and every time I go to one of the conventions,
I
bring them with me so everybody can take a look to see.
That's amazing. So do you go to conventions? Do you do a lot of that?
Yeah. I avoided it for a while, and then somebody convinced me to go, and I had a good time, and I made some money, and it was fun, And you know how, I mean, when you're a little kid, you remember the names of even the smallest characters.
Yeah.
Like Fuchs.
Yeah. Well,
and it's amazing. Everybody, knows me as from that movie. I mean, I've done so much other work, but it was.
The passion, and I'm going to touch on that a little later on. The passion. Who was that?
No, that was Charlie and Donald. I talk like they're still with me. They're still with me.
Yeah,
They are
yeah.
still with me.
That's amazing that you actually have these pictures because back then some people just never took pictures. Nowadays
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
different, but
I had
that was
one of
thank
those
you for
box
sharing.
cameras with the yellow
Yeah.
one where you go like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there they are. I can't
And you don't
believe
know
it.
if they're good until you develop them.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right,
Yeah,
right.
no, that's amazing. That's I am so thank you for sharing that. That is awesome.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So it's funny. One of the things whenever I watch the thing, and it's a silly little thing, but I have to. I when I see that ping pong table, I'm just
Hmm.
like, that is, that's where I'd be. Did you guys have ping
Oh
pong
yeah,
tournament? Yeah.
oh
Okay. So
yeah.
who is the best? Who are the
Oh,
better ping pong?
I don't remember. I mean,
Oh,
we all played, but we were all running in and out to shoot
yeah,
and
yeah,
this
yeah.
and that
So
and
you,
the other thing. But we did that. There was goddamn a pinball machine, and
yeah. So
there
they
were
were set deck, but they were functional, I guess, right?
yeah, and there were books and magazines, and we were reading and telling stories and getting to know each other
That's amazing.
and all that kind of stuff. So
So, do you know what Outpost 31's mission was on the thing?
it was a weather station
Yeah, gathering the
gathering scientific data about life in
physical
Antarctica.
and natural resources in Antarctica. And yeah, it was funny because you could watch a movie so many times and you kind of get the gist of these things, but to find out that and everybody's role. I actually looked up before a while back. I looked up, well, what did everybody do? Like, because it was kind of, and was that in the script or was it more um
What?
like your roles, like what each character was,
Oh
because
yeah,
it wasn't
this
clearly defined.
biologist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
yours was.
Biologist, Blair, biologist.
Yeah,
Uh, Mazur was the dog handler.
yeah,
Clinton was assistant helicopter pilot. Dysart was the doctor, the
yeah.
medical guy on set. Uh, Kurt was number one helicopter
Helicopter pilot
guy.
and stuff. Yeah,
Tommy Waits was the communications guy. TK was the chef, and Peter
you're on
Maloney
it.
was the quartermaster. So yeah,
You're
we
on
all
it.
we all had stuff to.
39 years. It's just like that for you, eh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Charlie was a geologist.
Were
Hallahan.
you were you were you involved in a lot of, I heard there was a lot of theorizing on set, like what it is, where it came from. Were you involved in that camp or were you more like, let's shoot the film?
Well, yeah, I didn't get into the philosophy of if you're the thing, do you know you're the thing or do you
Yeah, yeah,
not know that? That was a big thing.
yeah,
Um, uh, Interesting. It's interesting, but
yeah.
I do kind of make the jump that up to the pandemic.
Hmm.
Do you have it? Do you know you have it? Do you have
Yeah,
symptoms? Do you not? And then if you do have it,
that's right.
what do you do about it? How do you isolate yourself? Or do
Yeah,
you isolate yourself? I mean, what do you do?
yeah.
It's a real pressure cooker that,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it kind of yeah, yeah, I like the parallels you draw between the film and what we're
Virus.
hopefully coming to the end of.
Let's hope. I just got scheduled my COVID test,
Did
COVID
you? Good for you.
vaccine March 1st.
Okay,
So
okay, good for you.
yeah,
They're a little slow rolling out in Canada, but hopefully soon enough.
yeah.
Uh, so I just want to talk. I mean, it was an ensemble cast, and it was an all male cast, which is very, very unique. I just want to touch on a couple of them, but first, let's start off with John Carpenter. So, he's coming in off of Halloween, Escape from New York, The Fog. Like he's a player now. He's got his first studio film. What was he like to work with? Was
Oh,
he?
he was great. He
Yeah.
had his, he wrote some of the music,
Hmm.
and he also hired Ennio Morricone, one of my favorite film scorers in the
Yeah.
world. Um, and he was in on every aspect of. I mean, he was a great. He delegated.
Yeah.
Once he got Rob Bottin brought him a bunch of drawings of what he envisioned, and he was 23 at the time, and John looked at that and went, "Okay, let her roll."
Yeah.
Just gave him full reign to go for it.
That's
And
awesome.
he did that. He would work with Dean Cundy before.
Mm-hmm.
They had developed the, the camera that,
Steady cam.
yeah, Steadicam.
Yeah.
And so he trusted his people, and he oversaw everything, and just, oh, he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
such
he
a
was.
good guy. Yeah, and something prophetic. How I went to see Starman,
Okay.
and I talked to John afterwards, and I went, "Wow, I really enjoyed that film." He went, "That sentimental stuff." He said, "Joel, I can do that like that. That's
Yeah.
not how I see the world." And I
Oh,
went,
that's interesting.
"The Thing?" And he went, "Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's
That's what's
interesting.
going on." I mean, it was really, and then that set me back. I mean, I kind of went, huh,
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting. And he stayed, I mean, you know, his work is his own, really unique,
It
and
is. Yeah.
really, some people like it, some don't, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's really an artist,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. So you enjoyed that then? Was he one of the guys, or I mean, he was busy all along,
Oh,
but
he was so busy.
yeah.
And he was welcome. In my recollection, I enjoyed talking to him. We all liked
Yeah.
him. You know,
Yeah.
he was really
Good leader.
a comrade and a good leader.
Yeah.
Exactly. A really
Yeah.
good leader.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good to hear because I mean, yeah, I mean, he's got a phenomenal reputation in the horror world, but you know,
Yeah.
to hear that he's got good command of his sets and stuff like that is always a plus. Kurt Russell. Before I ask you about him, I don't think I've ever heard one bad thing mentioned about Kurt Russell. So I'm depending on you to give me something juicy and incriminating on Kurt Russell. Or
You
how was it
know,
like working with Kurt Russell?
I what can I say about Kurt? He's really brilliantly talented.
He's like the coolest guy in Hollywood.
And he's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see that, what was that thing with that Mark Wahlberg shot out in the Gulf with the oil rigs exploding and everything that Kurt was in? You remember that movie? In any case,
Trying to think
his
the King's.
stepdaughter, that beautiful Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Oh, Kate Hudson.
Yes, she's in it. When she goes in the movie to hug Kurt when he's safe because he's playing somebody, it is so full of love.
Yeah.
I mean, I went, oh my God, that woman adores him,
Yeah.
you know? And he's just, he's, who knew at
Yeah.
the time?
Yeah.
But he's just incredibly talented, and he's easy to work with, and he's a professional, and he has a wicked sense of humor and laughs a lot. And he's another natural leader. He's one of those guys, he takes charge if nobody's in charge. He's just a leader.
That's
Like
awesome.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
That's somebody I'd follow to fight the Goths.
Really, eh?
I've never worked with him, but I watch the guy on screen and I think
Yeah.
he's a natural leader. You can't help but go to guys like that. That's who you want.
Yeah.
Commanding your army, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
And Kurt's the same way. He's a natural leader. He really is.
Talking about two of my favorite actors right there, and Kurt Russell and Russell Crowe. I always find with Kurt Russell, you know, even if he plays a bad guy, you're rooting for him. Like he's command of like his roles. I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of him. His role as McCready is just iconic in this.
Have you seen him do Elvis, the movie that John shot?
Yes. Yeah.
I was turning on the TV. I'm watching TV. This movie comes on, and I'm watching this guy. He's doing a karate sequence in the movie. And I thought, who's this actor? I like that. That's like Elvis Presley. He's incredible. Who is this guy? And then I found out later it was John.
Yeah.
And Kurt. And I was like, holy smokes.
I agree.
The greatest Wyatt Earp you've ever seen.
Yes. Tombstone. Yes. He's great.
He's great.
He was brilliant, and yeah, it was funny that Elvis. When first you kind of think John Carpenter made an Elvis film. Kurt Russell played Elvis, and you just doesn't match up in your head. You see it, and I was blown away at.
Well, John's from that part of the world, and
Yeah,
and Kurt.
yeah. So, Rob Bottin did the makeup and special effects. Did you work a lot with him, or was he just off doing his
He was off.
magic?
He was so busy.
Yeah, yeah.
And but he was a big bear of a kid. He was 23, and he was had hair down. He looked like a Sasquatch, I mean, he was just, and he was on fire during that whole thing. I remember him losing weight and all that.
Yeah, because you got pretty sick from this production.
Yeah, but boy, was he! Good Lord, the inside of that mind.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't do very much publicity these days. He's very, very to himself. There were some dangers on set though, were there not? Like there was a couple of times where you guys almost blew yourselves up. Am I wrong on that? Were you on set for those? Where there was some of the toxic fumes from the makeup apparently.
I don't really recall too much.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I mean,
yeah,
it's there's a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
A lot of blood in that movie.
There was. But it's funny because I know it's a really gory film, and I know it's pretty intense, but to me, that's not the film. That's not what the film is about. I don't even see it half the time. And I'm not trying to be artsy, but
I said to John once, what do you want to do with this? What is this movie to you? He said, Joel, I want to make the scariest monster movie that's ever been made. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, all right.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm here to support you, brother.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I mean, I'm all for films like that, like just being enclosed and trapped, and Clue and 10 Little Indians and all those films. So this was just right up there with that, and actually even Quentin Tarantino.
Yes, I know he loved this film.
Yeah, and The Hateful Eight was basically kind of not. He didn't take the thing, but it was inspired by the thing, and that's a fantastic compliment right there. Okay, so your original death was a shovel to the sternum or gut or whatever, which
I'm
you're gonna dig it up
while we're talking. I may have that shot with me right here.
Which I do agree with the logic. I think that was a great move by John to change it.
Yeah, sure.
But what were your thoughts on your actual death? What happened to Fuchs? Because it is a little up to the imagination. I want to know because you are him, what happened?
Yep. Well, that's one thing I'm going to take to the grave. You get nothing out of me.
Nothing out of you. Okay, so. But you know, right?
You get nothing out of me on that. I ain't going to tell nothing on nobody.
All right, that's fair enough. Here,
look at this gorgeous shot.
Oh, that's amazing. And that's on set?
That's from the set.
From the set.
And like the weather every day changed up there. It was just a remarkable place. I love that place.
Have you ever been back?
No. I've been to Vancouver, to British Columbia, and to the Cascades and places like that, but I've never been back to that place. I've been to New Zealand, and that matches parts of Alaska that I've seen. I'll get back up there, but man, it was a thrill.
Well, there was
here's the bus, and who is that? Who's that? Oh, here's Maloney Bennings in front of the bus.
Nice. Wow.
It goes up to the set, and yeah. So
I would love to see all these pictures. They're amazing. Great job. With there was a couple of there's a website, Outpost 31. I'm not too sure if you heard
Right.
about it. And yeah, and a couple.
Another Canadian guy, I think, put that together.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. And they had gone up to it, and it's funny because you've probably seen it, but like they traveled up. It's not an easy place to get to. It
No.
looks pretty dangerous if you go at the wrong time. So, and they do a great job, Outpost 31, on all the social media. They're
Yeah.
really keeping the film burning hot. All right, so we won't avoid your death scene, fine. But let's talk about the debates that are out there right now. The internet is full of them, and one of the debates is the actual ending with Kurt Russell, McCready, and Childs, Keith David, and who is the thing and all that. Have you read any of these things?
They shot two endings.
They did.
Yeah.
They did shoot two.
And
endings.
I don't know what the other. I forget. I'm there. I forget.
Right. Yeah.
What the ending. But I just thought that ending was genius, man.
Mhm.
Let's just
It
see what
was.
happens. I mean,
have you seen, because some of the fans, like, they'll say basically Keith Childs was the thing at that point, and this is just their opinion, because he had no breath, there was no mist coming out of his mouth. But Kurt, on the opposite, the reverse shot, had breath coming out of his mouth. So it's funny how in depth people have gotten.
oh, it's that blows me away, man.
Isn't that?
I mean, it's possible that Keith had just had a cold Coke or something and put it down, and there was nothing. I mean,
Yeah. But it's funny, eh?
That's
it's like
funny. That's really great. I mean, then that's a conspiracy theory, man. Oh, did you see that thing in the sky behind him? Oh, that must have been,
and it's funny. I'm a fan of the film, like I've said, but like, I mean, there's some people that they'll.
Oh, I know. I go to these conventions, and
yeah,
people walk up to me like,
yeah.
coming, or they said, "You changed my life."
Wow. That's awesome.
Well, I got a good therapist. You should see. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
But they're sweet. I love the fans. They're so loyal, and like
Yeah.
you're describing, they're so thorough. And it really, I mean, like Jaws did to me what The Thing has done to so many people. I didn't go in the water for years after I saw Jaws.
Yeah, and that's
so there it is.
yeah. So, Richard Dysart, this is another thing that's been discussed quite a bit, and I want to know if you have an answer for it. Copper has a nose ring. Are you aware of that? And do you know why?
That's Richard, man.
Is it? So it was him.
Richard
Because
was a stoner from way back,
really,
I mean, oh yeah. I mean, he was,
because he's just this. He's the doctor. He's this white-haired, looks well-to-do, well-rounded doctor with a nose ring. And I mean, for a lot of people who don't understand, nose rings back in 1982 were not common at all. So it's bizarre. And I'm always like, was that John? Was that John? He wanted him to have a nose ring? Was it Dysart? What, like, so?
well, Tom, who's playing Windows, his
Mhm.
character's name was Sanchez as originally written.
Oh.
And one day he came in and went to John and said, "Call me Windows." And John went, "Okay."
You didn't sweat the small stuff, John.
No, and actually, it was a great name for that character.
It's a cool name.
Very cool,
Yeah.
And everybody makes the joke about there was Mac and Windows in the.
Yeah. That's pretty neat too. Yeah.
No, Dysart was an eccentric, wonderful guy, loving, big-hearted,
Yeah.
accomplished actor. Yeah.
That's funny. So you think it was just him? He just wore it and that was it?
And that was it.
All right. Okay. So you've heard it here first, people. Okay. So in real life, what character are you most like
From that film?
from the film?
Fuchs.
Really? Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was that was spot on for me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
wish I could say differently, but you know,
Yeah. Well,
but
no,
or,
it's
or
good.
I don't really. This is who I am, but curious, and I try to be unassuming and intelligent. I like to think, and
Yeah.
a little bit of an adventurer. You know.
Was there a particular scene that was just a blast to shoot that it just stands out for you? I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit.
No, no, I'm thinking through the film.
Yeah.
Um, that blood test.
Yeah. That was
It was yeah, that was really really cool.
okay. Cool. So have you guys ever done a reunion?
Sometimes at those conventions they'll bill it as a reunion if like four or five of us get together.
Yeah.
I think the most we had once was six of us.
Yeah. Was that a
Um,
blast?
but no, we haven't had like a reunion actually as a cast. But you know, I stayed with Tom in New York when I go there. Clennon and I have dinner regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I see Keith when I see him. He's still so busy. He turned
Yeah.
into such a star.
Yeah.
Wonderful actor. Just a great
I
stage actor too.
love him. I've never
So
seen him on stage, but I
versatile. That voice.
yeah.
He's a great Shakespearean actor. He's really tremendous.
Yeah.
And I talk to Peter occasionally, Maloney, and you know,
Yeah.
Mazur occasionally.
So you put in this hard work for this film, and you guys are believing in everything you're doing. You're believing in John's vision, and it's a blast to shoot. But you guys are really proud of your product, and then the box office is very underwhelming. How much of a gut punch was that for you?
Well, I was surprised, but then
Hmm.
I found out what happened. They were supposed to release, Universal was supposed to release The Cat People that weekend, and it was a
Okay.
mess. And so, like 2 weeks before they realized they couldn't release that film, the thing was done, and
Hmm.
they were going to release it at the beginning of summer as a summer blockbuster. But stupidly, whoever was arranging all this, the week before we opened, E.T. opened. And the week after we opened, Poltergeist opened. So it's like we got caught between these two films with no marketing
Yeah.
done for the film. And suddenly it was in the theaters. And I went to a theater in New York. It was a quarter full. I took friends, I was excited, and there was no hoopla around it.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I guess I got to go find another job. You know, I thought people,
Yeah.
but whatever. You know, I know that was heartbreaking for John because he really, really worked like a demon on that. We played. He worked really
Yeah.
hard. Um, so that's what happened, and then it caught on at the video shops, and here we are.
So yeah, and it is funny. Yeah, I guess most films would be doomed to be in between two Spielberg films and in the '80s.
And the
Um,
ET was just a
yeah,
worldwide phenomenon.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah,
It was
it never
number one for
stopped.
weeks. Yeah,
Never, yeah,
so we
yeah,
just squeezed in there.
yeah. So it was it is unfortunate, but it has found its place, and for I would say. Um, and most people who really love horror films, I would say The Thing is oftentimes no lower than five, if not number one on their list, and
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing because it came a long way.
but it's
And
also a horror thriller. I mean, it's more
yeah,
than just a horror.
for
Yeah,
sure, yeah. But it holds up.
yeah,
Like there's a lot of films. There was a lot of great films back in the day that don't hold up.
right.
The Thing holds up brilliantly.
And here's where my hazmat suit thing comes in. Honest to God, if we had just just explored that out just a little more, it would have, I just think it would resonate all the way through the ages. You know what I mean? It will anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Just that one thing, and I feel like I
I
didn't do my job.
I think you're being a little hard on yourself not being able to look 39 years into the future to pull that one. I
Well,
think
I'm an actor, so when I see things, I go, "Oh, I could have done that. I could have done. I could have been a contender."
you
But
could have, yeah.
it's what it
Um,
is.
but so the thing still to this day holds a special spot in your heart. It sounds
Oh
like.
yeah, I love that. Love it, and
That's good.
I love the experience.
Yeah,
The experience was priceless for me. Just
that's
priceless.
that's awesome. I'm gonna just jump ship, change gears. We'll go with that one a little bit because you were also on one of my favorite shows of all time, Cheers,
Thank you.
and you were Gary,
Yep.
and I just on that. What was that? What was it like working on Cheers?
They were fabulous. It was great. It was interesting because I'd never done a sitcom before.
Mm-hmm.
And being from the theater, I was used to rehearsing for weeks. So they hand me the second script, which was the Bloody Mary contest.
Yep.
And I'm through the whole thing. And I go out one day at Paramount. I saw Michael Gross, and who went to Yale also. And I went, Michael, how am I going to learn this thing? And I'm going in front of an audience in 3 days. And he went, I know, it's really freaky. He said, I'm on Family Ties. He said, it took me about 6 weeks. And then one day I just went, oh, no problem. I said, well, I don't have 6 weeks. I got 3 days. And he said, calm down. And, and I was really stoked for that one. Yeah.
Would you get to like? Were you with like was the cast very inviting, or was
They
it
were
more of the
great. Yeah,
cast was here?
they were absolutely lovely. They were
Yeah.
all, I mean,
Right.
I got to see a young Woody Harrelson before he became who
Yeah.
he is now, and to see how incredibly talented he was.
Yeah.
And Ted was just a doll,
Yeah.
just the greatest to work with. They all were. They really
Yeah.
all were. Rhea was very sweet to me, and they all were. And the interesting thing was the guys who produced that had produced another TV show called All Is Forgiven, and I had 4 auditions and callbacks, and then they put me on tape, and my agent called them and said, put them on tape or let them go, because I kept going. They kept bringing more people in and different people, and I did one of the best auditions I ever did on tape. Bess Armstrong came over to me afterwards and hugged me and said, I'll see you Monday. We're going to start shooting. Nothing. They hired another actor who was taller and looked more like a father than I do in TV way. So about a year later, I'm at a party in West Hollywood. A guy taps me on the shoulder. He says, do you remember us? And he points to his partner. And I said, no. He said, we produced All Is Forgiven. And I went, yeah. He said, we made a mistake. I went, yeah.
Nice.
He had something, and maybe it was Ken Levine. They had something to do with Cheers. And a little while after that, I got a phone call and they said, we'd hired this guy to do a part in Cheers and he can't do it. We want you to come in and do it. I mean, they hired me the day before they started filming.
Oh, wow.
And that was the bowling alley thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that got me going on the part, and then I began to figure out sitcoms and how they worked. I mean, they're different styles, and so there's different requirements, and an actor has to do the same thing, but they're different time frames. So, but I was very fortunate to hook up with those guys, and
you were Gary. You were Gary. That was a great character. I mean, it's not like it wasn't just. And so you did. Was it 3
I did
episodes?
3 of them, and they'd shot 6.
Shot 6. What happened? I always want to know what happened.
I was working.
Okay.
At the other times, and they didn't give me enough notice, or I couldn't get out of the contract to come in and shoot.
No, that's unfortunate.
One time I was doing a play in New York, and they wanted me to fly back, and the producers would not let me out of the contract. So they hired somebody who
That's
sort of looked like me, but
No, but you know what? Like, I'm not just saying this because you're on the show. You were lights out as that character, and it really kind of it
I like to
suffered
think
after
so.
that.
I like
It
to
suffered
think so.
after that. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of it was unfortunate, I guess, that you couldn't make the schedules work, because it would have been nice to
Oh
have
my
you for
God.
another.
If I had something to do over, I'd
Yeah,
go to my agent and hammer him until they got me back on that set to do what
yeah,
they had asked, because
because that would have been
big
6
mistake.
episodes.
Big mistake. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all in the rearview mirror right now.
Yeah.
I do. Before I let you go, there is one thing I'm gonna try with you, and I'm gonna throw you a Hail Mary, and if we'll see if you catch it and into the end zone, or if you drop it. But I got to try this. All right. The jerk store called. They're running out of you.
Hey, George, the ocean called. They're running out of shrimp.
Oh yeah, the jerk store called. They're running out of you.
What's the difference? You're their all-time bestseller.
Honestly, that delivery, we can't end this podcast on a better note than that. That was a touchdown. That was a 2-point conversion. Joel, I absolutely love that delivery you give on that episode of Seinfeld.
That was fun.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of you. And I hope once this pandemic ends, we will see more of you. But I honestly, you've been so great to have on this podcast. I really, really thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Jason. My pleasure. Stay warm up there and stay safe up there. And until next time.
Yeah.
Adios.
Adios. And thanks for sharing those pictures.
My pleasure. If you want to talk about them more, please get in touch with me.
I will. Absolutely. Thanks once again, Joel Polis from John Carpenter's 1982 classic, The Thing. I'm Jason Pelligra from the Slices podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.